Chapter 10 is our wrap up. We're going to be completing our game in this chapter, just getting some little things done, adding some fine details, textures, sound effects. We're going to package our game. First off, though, let's start with the level 1 and level 2 text that we didn't get to in chapter 9. So, make sure you're in level 1. Let's just start there. Go into camera view, press 0, and put your cursor somewhere beneath your ship like this. Press Shift A. We're going to add some text. It's going to be kind of small. Press S to make it bigger. I'm just going to move it. I'm going to make sure it's not sitting on top of my ground plane. I'm going to drag it straight up, just like that. Okay, I'm going to press Z to go into wire mode, tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to delete all this and I'm going to type in level 2. Or level 1, there you go. Type in level 1. So now if you can see it, you can kind of center it how you want it to be. Perfect. First things first, let's go into object mode. We'll name this level 1 text, just like so. And then we'll press Alt C to convert it to a mesh. Let's add a material to it, and then we'll say level 1 text. I'm just going to make this black, just like that. And I'll just bring the specular all the way down. So now I have, this is what it'll look like in the game, level 1. Let's go ahead and add some logic. Add an always sensor, add an action actuator, and then hook these together. Okay, so now we actually have to animate our level 1 text. Go ahead, hover over the corner here and split the screen by dragging it downwards, and set your property to timeline. There it is right there. At frame 0, your current frame indicator should be set to 0. If it's not, change it to 0. Leave it at 0. Press I and select scaling. If you have a yellow mark here, you know you set a keyframe. Set your current frame indicator to 75 and press I again and select scaling, and then set it to 80. And then we'll go over here, press the N tab to bring up the transform panel. Go down here to the scale box where it's all green and change each one of these to 0. Just like that. Okay, so now you shouldn't see your text at all. Press I and set another scaling keyframe. So now you should have 3 keyframes. From 0 to 75, it's visible, and then by frame 80, it's no longer visible. Set it to 0. Make sure you always leave this to 0 when you're starting your game. We're going to go ahead and apply this animation. So find the level 1 text action, which is the one we just did. It's right there. And then set your end frame to 80. Just like that. So now if we play this, we're firing, we see the level 1 text. If we're okay, and it went away by frame 80. Good. So it zoomed out. Let's do the same thing to level 2. Alright, go ahead, put your cursor down here. Make sure you're in camera view by pressing 0. Press Shift A, add a text, make it bigger, move it, tab mode, type in level 2. Make sure that it's not on top of the blue plane. Drag it upwards by grabbing the blue arrow. It's not working. There we go. We're going to kind of center it in the camera view. That's how we want it. Good. I'm going to name this level 2 text. And then I'm going to press Alt C to convert it to a mesh. And I'm going to select the materials tab. I'm going to type in level 2 text. And I'm going to make this also black. Okay, so now we've got to set up our logic. Always, action, and connect. Then we're going to set up our keyframes. So I scaling at 0, at 75, I scaling again, and then at 80, we're changing all these in the transform tab. Remember, that's toggled with N. And we're going to change the X, Y, and Z in scaling to 0. And then we're going to set a keyframe, I scaling, so that it goes like that. Set your cursor back down to 0. I can't say that enough. Your animations won't work otherwise. And now we're going to set our animation to level 2 text action, which is the one we just set up. The end frame is 80. Our animation is 80 frames long. And that should work fine. There's our level 2 text. We're shooting our guys, and it goes away. Awesome. I'm going to save this. Let's add some sound effects now. Go to your menu screen, and we're gonna make a song play whenever our menu screen is open. The first thing you gotta do is know where your sound file is located. So I'm gonna show you where mine are. I've got a folder called Blender Club files on my desktop. If I open it up, I can see all the MP3 files that I'm going to use, or that I have available to me. So let's go ahead and add some logic. We want to first of all say anytime it's open. That means all the time. So let's add an always sensor. And so anytime that the menu screen is showing, we want a sound to play. Now, that's really all there is to it. We just have to now go find our sound on our computer. So I'm going to click open. And then remember, I said it was on my desktop. So there's my desktop. There's my Blender Club files, and I'm just gonna play this punk song loop. It's just a generic song. Open sound right now, and we'll say loop end, just like that. And that really should be all that we have to set. Let's go ahead and start the menu now. And notice you can hear the song playing. That's awesome. When we press exit, it stops playing. Okay, so it's functioning. Let's go ahead and add a sound effect to level 1. So in level 1, locate your hero ship, and then locate the empty in front of him. Right click on this empty, because remember, if we look down here in the logic, that's where we spawn our laser beam. Every time we click the left button, a laser beam spawns. Let's make it so that every time that we also click the button, a sound spawns as well. So click on the sound actuator, and it's going to be down here where you can't see it. Minimize it, and then use this arrow to move it up. There we go, and now you can maximize it again. Hook it up to this first and controller, which hooks to the mouse left button. Let's go ahead, open up your Stormtrooper blaster sound. Now you can't use this if you're trying to sell your project, but this is just to kind of show what it would sound like. Open the sound. I'm going to set the volume up to 2. And then if you play it right now, the sound might get cut off. Yeah, it does. So to change that, let's go ahead and instead of selecting tap, click level. If your level is already selected, you did it, yours will be fine. So now the full sound plays, and if we stop firing, it doesn't. Once we fire again, it does. Alright. So you can go online and find as many sound effects as you'd like. You look for the royalty-free ones that are just free downloads. Or you could even make your own sounds if you have access to the equipment. You could also even buy sounds if you want, but we're trying to make a game for free here. So the last thing we're going to do is add some textures. I'm going to go first to the menu. Now we have a plane here already set for our menu. Go ahead, press 1. Make sure this plane is selected. Actually, for the heck of it, let's just go into default mode so we can pay attention to what we're doing even easier. Go back into menu. Your plane should be selected. Split your screen in 2 by hovering over the corner and dragging it over. Oops. Remember, you can always rejoin them. This side of the screen you'll want to set to UV image editor, and then go ahead and just click on X to delete whichever is in here. Now this one, we're going to do something called unwrapping. Now we're not really unwrapping this because it's only one plane and you can't really unwrap a plane. Let's go ahead, hit tab. We're in edit mode. It says edit mode down here. Press U and hit project from view. Where is it? There it is. Project from view. So now we see the projection come up over here on this screen. Now, we should already have in our material panel a material set. If we don't, we can just set one real easy. New. I'm just going to turn this intensity for the diffuse all the way up and the specular all the way down. And I'm just going to call this menu background. This is the menu background. We're still in edit mode. Go into the texture screen now. Let's pause right here real quick. I'm going to show you exactly where my textures are located. Any Any pictures that you're planning on using in your project, you should save them to a specific file location, like all in the same place. So in this case, I have all mine right here. All these pictures I can use in my game. I can use them anywhere, but these are all the ones I've set aside specifically for this game. So they're in my desktop and Blender Club files. Let's go into my blend file. In the texture panel, we're gonna hit new. And the first thing that pops up by default, or it should, is image or movie. You can play around with the textures in here, but for right now we want image or movie. Now, under the image box, press open. We're going to go find the pictures that we can use. So the desktop and then Blender Club files. There I am. Now if I click on this button, I can see what I want to use. So for the menu screen, I've made this one called Menu Intro. Alright, so we know it's in there. The last thing we have to do is apply it to the object, and we hit this drop down, and we hit Menu Intro, because there it is. Alright, so now we'll have to go back into this side of the screen, press U, and we'll have to project it from view again, because it'll warp it. Then we press S to just make it bigger. And wherever this orange screen is, it'll fit right there. So we can see how it looks in our texture view. There we go. We can just move it around till we like what we see on the camera. Alright, I'm going to leave it there. Now I'm going to press tab to exit edit mode. I'm going to select my text. I'm going to make it a different color now because the black kind of gets messed up by it. Let's just have it like that. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I mean it looks alright, but if I were to redo this, I'd add some lines around the text. And then the buttons, let's also make those a slightly different color. Okay, so that should work then. It's just obviously I would have to spend some time to make it look good. Right? Play, exit still, function. Okay. Good, so that's how we add a texture to that one. Let's go into level 1. Alright, it looks a little bit funky because I'm currently in texture mode. I'll go back into solid. Let's follow the same process now that we're in level 1. Go ahead, close out of this picture. Select your background cube so you can see it, mine selected. Go ahead, go into tab mode or edit mode by pressing tab and press U, project from view once again. There you go. Now go into the materials tab. It should already have a material. The floor, okay, we've got floor. Don't really know why it's green. I don't remember that. The texture panel right next to it, click on it and hit new texture. It should already be open to image or movie. If not, select image or movie and then hit open. Let's go back into my images. So Blender Club files, there it is. I want to use this one right here. It's pretty. Open image. There we go. And now down here, select the image. And now I'm going to unwrap it again just in case, because sometimes it does get warped. Project from view. And then I can just make it as big as I want. And we can set this to texture view. It's not showing up very well, but that should work fine. Now if we play it, yeah, so we can see the stars in the background. It's coming together. I would probably want to change my level 1 material to something brighter, so I'm going to change it to white. Now, yep. Okay, looks okay. Alright, and then level 2. Let's go ahead and select this one. Go into tab, press tab to go into edit mode. Remove that picture, press U and project from view. Let's go into our material. We already see it there. Go into texture, press new. Image or movie should be selected. Press open. This time I'm going to go into my folder and find my green stars. And these are generated with a piece of software called Starscape, and it's free online. I'll include a link to it on my website. So open. Let's go ahead and select stars green, just like that. Press U, projection view again. Press A if it's not selected to select it, and then press S to make it bigger. Okay. Now let's try this one out. Yep, looks good. And I'll also want to change this to white. Yep, and let's just brighten them up a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. Wonderful. So, let's go ahead and package our game now. We haven't really touched lights. Lighting is such a big topic that I'll probably save that for a separate tutorial. For now, just use the default lighting. And if you really want to mess with it, go ahead. You can select the lights just as usual. Press Shift-D to duplicate them, and then go over here to the lighting panel. You can adjust the type of light it is, how bright it is, what color it shines, all that good stuff. For now, though, let's go ahead and package our game because it's basically complete. I'm gonna go first to Game Logic, and then whatever level it's in, if it was in level 1, go to the menu. So open up the menu. There it is. Before we do anything else, let's go ahead and minimize Blender. Don't exit out, and you can actually probably even save it too. Don't exit out. Minimize it. Go to your desktop and add a folder and title it the name of your game. We'll just call it Space Jet Game. Alright, so now I've got this folder here. Okay, I'm putting it right there. If I go back into Blender now, I have to click File, and to be able to export to a Windows game, go to User Preferences. This will not be added by default. Oops, I've already got it typed in. But as you can see, I have add-ons selected. And here in this user preferences place, you can mess with different settings in Blender. For right now, let's add in the add-ons. Just type in game in the search bar. We've got 3 options. Okay, they'll look like this: Game Engine Publishing, GameKit Engine, Save as Game Engine Runtime. GameKit Engine, I hear, is pretty cool. It's used to port Blender games to a version of Android development software that no longer is supported, the Eclipse engine. But it probably still works if you can get a version of Eclipse running. Anyways, so we want the Game Engine Save as Game Engine Runtime. So make sure over here it's checked. Alright, it has to be checked, and then you can save the user settings. What this allows us to do is go into File, and we can export and save as Game Engine Runtime. So there it is. Click that. We got to pick a spot to save it. So that folder we put on our desktop, I called it Space Jet Game right there. Let's go ahead and save as Game Engine Runtime. Wait for just a minute. Okay, so it finally finished. Let's minimize this. Now, if I go into my Space Jet Game folder, I look and I see a bunch of files. Alright, but when I want, now this is just how Windows packages files. I can right click on this icon right here, the orange one, and I can say create shortcut, and then I can just drag this shortcut to my desktop. Now I close this, and if I double click this, there's my game. It starts right up. Okay, you can play it all the way through as its own file. Awesome. Totally works. Alright guys, so that's it for this tutorial series. I hope that you had fun and that this made Blender seem not so intimidating. And as of right now, you guys can consider yourself programmers because you did write Python scripts and you did use Blender's Logic Brick systems to program an entire video game. So well done and congratulations guys.